Okay, I've got the parts back from the powder coaters, so here we have it. Bit of a green, well, not really Kawasaki cream, but it's close enough for me. Yeah, got the frame, swing arm, subframe, spring, got the foot pegs, the whole lot done. I've got the extra like 10.5mm Ballards pins to go in. I've got the springs and whatnot, so yeah, going to throw some tyres on there. And I had a bit of a problem with the sandblaster getting a bit too carried away, like not protecting the bearing surface there. So again, I do the trick of put the bearings in the freezer and get a little small blowtorch and heat up the casing and like see if I can get it in there. Yeah, swing arm's fine. Like, I'm going to get some paint stripper to get rid of some of the powder coat and smooth it all off into those surfaces. Same thing with the steering bearings and whatnot. Oh yeah, the frame repair, yeah, came out pretty good. Like, the fabricator didn't have the machine to get the pipe bent, the tube bender and stuff, but got a piece of pipe and bent it up and welded her in. So yeah, it's good enough, like as in comparison to the other welds and whatnot. Yeah, blends in pretty well, quite well. So that's that. Yeah, I'm happy with it. So now the fun begins of reassembling and putting it back together. Cheers. Okay, got an update here. I've got new fork steels installed. Had them done at the local motorbike shop, which I didn't have the tools and didn't want to muck around, so I just paid them to do it. So yep, new fork seals and fork oil. I've got the rear shock assembled. There's some pretty bad pitting along the shaft, so I'm not going to rebuild it because she's still got fluid in there and it feels good with the compression and rebound and whatnot. So I'm going to ride it as is and later on down the track rebuild the shock and get a bump stop and everything installed. Got the new bearings in the rear swing arm. Just got to calibrate, like center them and get all that sorted. Yeah, got the bearings down there, so these are new. Got the old ones in there, they felt good, there's no problems with them, nice and smooth. And then we've got the frame here. Installed the Ballards pins, which are just a little bit oversized, and got the springs, so yep, just got a much better feel and whatnot. Probably ride a lot better, but yeah, that's the frame. What else? Got the bearing shells installed, so done that. Just been cleaning up like all the surfaces where the powder coat was, all that done. Just installed bits and pieces here, so all ready for assembly. And got the bearings in the hubs, got the tyres, tubes, rim locks, the whole lot done there. Prettied up the discs a bit, got a bit of rust off of it and painted them up. Got to clean up those braking surfaces a bit more. Same with the rear sprocket, she's quite good. Got a new chain, front sprocket's pretty good. So I did have a problem with pinch the rear tube when I was installing it. The front one alright, so I just took it into the store and got them to do it. So I've got a lot of admiration and respect for those who fit tyres onto their bikes, but yeah, I just couldn't be bothered mucking around anymore, so I got them to do it. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is like install the suspension, yep, get the front end in, the triple clamps, and should be a roller hopefully by this time tomorrow afternoon. So yeah, the heat's pretty crazy here at the moment, so it's just 37 degrees, humidity's through the roof, and it's quite hot working out here. But it's yeah, everything's coming along nicely. Probably spent most of my time cleaning up all the surfaces and aluminium and whatnot. I've got my Dremel set up there and safety glasses, and yeah, different bits and pieces. Bit of aluminium cleaner, spray it on, give it 10-15 minutes to activate, and then get to it with a Dremel with different bits on it and whatnot. Still cleaning up the engine. I've already given it one pass and got to go back and just tidy it up, but yep, that's it. So pretty much, yeah, hopefully this time tomorrow afternoon I'll have a rolling frame chassis together. Thank you guys. Alright, we have progress. I've now got a rolling chassis. I was up till about 1:30 this morning putting this together, just making sure everything's all correct and alright. Yep, doing the linkages and whatnot down there, making sure the bearings are all stripped out of the old grease and put in some new moly grease. Got all that set up, calibrated, like got the centers of the bearings and whatnot. So yeah, it's all that there. Yeah, and got the steering and whatnot. So yep, she's now a complete roller. That's in. And so next up is to do the second and final pass on the motor, cleaning up all these little tidbits and whatnot, getting at those little areas there and down into there. So yep, finish off cleaning up the motor and I'll get that in. So that's where we're up to now. I've got the aluminium cleaner and the Dremel there, the different bits, so I'll take that now. Hey guys, here's an update. We have now got the engine in the frame, so I've got that all sorted out, looking nice. What I did here, had a couple of like small cracks and stuff. I've got some Sikaflex and using an old method of getting dishwashing liquid and dipping your finger in to like make it nice and smooth, so it doesn't get like all tacky and get your fingerprints in it. So that's still setting, still drying, but that's the engine in the frame. Yeah, like bearings all feel great, so everything's moving freely. Yeah, the stem, whatnot. Little bit of slightest little bit of play in the linking. Talking probably maybe about 2 or 3 mil over that, so that might actually tighten up. But when I do the rear shock, maybe down the track, I'll get the full bearing linkage kit. The engine, like the plastics, gonna have to take those, the kips cover off, the power valve cover and the crankcase cover, and like tidy it up, because that's the acid wash we got there. So I think next what I'm gonna do is put the carburetor on with the throttle and get the rear subframe happening with the airbox, and either probably attack the electrical or the radiator water cooling system. Still got to fit the gear lever, the sprocket, the front, get all the cooling and whatnot, Kickstarter, brake lever. Also got to start working on the tank, getting that looking a little bit more presentable, get rid of like the white and whatnot on it. And yeah, I've got the UFO plastics kit. I haven't unboxed them yet, so I'm waiting in anticipation until I get to that stage, until, yeah, getting it nice and ready. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Plastics, yeah, the brakes, I've still got to clean up the calipers, like get all the gunk and crap, lube up the sliders with some silicone lube, clean up the master cylinders, press the pots back in, and yeah, try and get as much of the old brake fluid out and rejuvenate it, like get a bit of movement. Like, I'm not going to do too much on it because, you know, the seals could be shot and might require rebuild kits, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll let you know the next update. Cheers, guys. Okay, now I have carburetor and airbox installed. So obviously putting the carburetor back on, I had the opportunity to take this apart and clean it out, and I stuck some silicone paste in there, and she feels really nice now. Like, yeah, cleaned it all out and whatnot. So next bit, we're going to be installing some bling, yeah, nice bright blue radiator hoses, and install the cooling system, the radiators and whatnot. The old hoses look like they're probably the original ones, the first OEM ones that the bike came with, but yeah, get that sorted out, get the radiators on, fill it with fluid. Oh, that's one other thing, is the breather hose I've replaced out of the crankcase, and also on the radiator. Both of them were heavily blocked, probably like a wasp or something's crawled up in there, tried to make a nest, and yeah, so that could be part of the reason why I had so much oil coming, or fluid coming out of the clutch lever seal, which I've got the seal to replace it with, but I'm going to get the bike started and running for a good 45 minutes, so I can get the heat paint to cure on the exhaust system, check it over, get a bit of heat into the engine, and I'll drop the fluid at the same time out of the crankcase. Yeah, check it over, just listen to it while she's idling, and yeah, that'll be all good. But that's it. Yeah, I put some WD-40 over the engine, like where all the aluminium cleaner was still on the nuts, and there was a bit of surface rust, so did a bit of that. But pretty much, yeah, getting ready to put the radiators on, and then yeah, see how we go. Alright, cooling system is installed, it's on. Had to do a little bit of panel beating on these flanges, as in she's been over once or twice on the side, so yeah, just straighten those as good as I could possibly get it. Filled it up with coolant, haven't burped it or checked it out. I'm a bit concerned about that bend there, if I should shorten the hose and get it so there's not much of a bend, but I'm not too sure. I'm not really into shortening something straight up to make it fit later, to realise that it was the right size and it's now too short and defective. So I'll leave it for now, and I'll check it out later on down the track. Yeah, same thing again, straightened up the things as best I possibly could, so when the radiator shroud goes on, it will line up nice and properly. That's it. Now onto the electrical system. Get the CDI on there. I do have a replacement CDI, but the bike was running with the previous one, so best not to change anything while the bike was running. If there's any problems or anything that won't start, then I'll put a new one on. But yeah, it's pretty much, it was a running bike when it disassembled, so everything's going back the way it was. Also going to tidy up here, put some heat shrink on it and make it look good, and yeah, that's it. Alright guys, catch you in a sec. Okay, we've got the electronics set up. The ignition, the coil, cleaned up all the contacts, made sure it's all 100%. Attacked all the connections with good old deoxit. Just to make sure I've got everything 100%. Got the old kill switch on. I'll probably get a new one later on the track just to make it look a little bit prettier in the control panel. I'll go with that. And I think my next move is going to be put the exhaust on. I've got the proper damper, and I've got the actual proper gaskets as well. So got the kit there. That ring wasn't, the copper ring there wasn't on the bike, and plus the damper was broken, and they've done a repair on the mount there, so probably have to stick a nut and bolt and do that. But yeah, it's just starting to look like a motorbike. Anyways, I'll get to it. Okay, we've got the exhaust pipe on. So yep, there she is. She fitted up nicely. Got the dampener on, so that's it. I've still got to repack the muffler. I've got all the bits to do that. But next, I think I'm gonna clean up the tank, hit it with some wet and dry, 800, then 1600. Get that to come up and get that mounted. Sort out the seals on the petcock, and yeah, get him on, like the Kickstarter on the things, and clean up the brake calipers maybe later on. But pretty much that's me done for today. You'll probably see the next one. I've got the tank nice and pretty looking, mounted on the bike, and then we'll be mounting fairings and whatnot, putting on the brakes, the chain, the Kickstarter, sprocket, gear lever, those bits and pieces. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Cheers guys. Alright, tank is almost done. Just got to get a finer grit sand on it. Hit it with the 360 wet and dry. Going to be going up to 800 and then up to 1600 if we can do it. But yeah, looking a lot better. Got the petcock here, the seal on the front there, and I've got the new seals ready to go in. It's a round one, so it's not the like the later models and stuff. Also, I've got the rear muffler. Hit it with a blowtorch to get out all the old oil that had been residing in those capillaries or holes. So yeah, the old blowtorch method to work the treat. I've got the kickstand and the gear lever, the brake lever to go on. The rear brakes, I've cleaned these up quite a fair bit. Yeah. So what I'll be doing is I've got the brake bleeder and some new .4 fluid. What I'll be doing is getting out the bleed nipple, the bleeder, take it out, make sure it's all cleaned out and whatnot, like so the fluid can flow. Reinstall it, not all the way, push the pots back down into the caliper and let it, all the fluid and gunk, the old stuff, drain out of the bleed hole, and then fill up the empty out the reservoir of all the old stuff, fill it with new fluid and pump it. Yeah, bit of a process, but try and flush out as much in there. But there's movement in both the front and rear. Got them all good. I've got the lithium grease to re-lube up all the sliders for the floating thing. So yeah, got all that. Make it all pretty. So first things first is to get the muffler repacked. All the old packing was absolutely disgusting, like it was caked in there. So yep, repack the muffler, install that. I've got a grommet or a boot sort of thing to go on to join it. Yeah, get the muffler repacked, get that installed onto the bike, finish off the tank, install the petcock, get that on the bike. Then do the brake system, then install that on the bike, and yep, the kickstarter, brake lever, and the gear selector. So yeah, also here, once I've got the system bled and whatnot, I've got some black enamel paint to paint up the clutch master cylinder, and also the brake master cylinder and the clutch lever. Yeah, installing the right lever actually is going to make a big difference on the bracket there. So had the incorrect one, which would have made things a little bit different for the feel of the clutch. But yeah, that's where I'm up to, and then we can start doing the plastics side of things. So I'll see you in a sec, guys. Okay, exhaust is installed. It's on. Haven't done the brakes yet, so I had to tighten up the bolt. The tank is on, and I've done the kickstand, the sprocket, the gear changer, the gear lever, and yeah, petcock is on. So what I've decided to do is, because the electrics are up there in the tank, I think I'm going to kick it over and see if she starts, just to make sure that there isn't any final problems when the bike's reassembled, just to make sure it's running and spot on before it gets completely assembled. So yeah, I'm going to give it a kick. Just got to turn that fuel on. So she's got the fuel now. I went with a oh crap, so where's that leak coming from? Yep, so got a minor leak. Bugger. Alright, okay, for that exact reasons why we don't fully assemble, yep, just changed over that piece of hose with some radiator overflow hose. So it's not the correct stuff for fuel, but it's going to get me out of trouble for today, just to kick it over, see how it goes. Alright, so I've got that, yeah, see if it's got fuel in the fuel bowl and whatnot. Let's see if she goes. She runs. Yeah, just cleaning out this master cylinder, and look at how bad that is, that fluid there. She's absolutely, that's gross. So, yep, cleaning that out. I've pushed the pots back into the caliper. So, clean it out, put some fresh fluid in there, keep pressuring it through until she comes out the bleed nipple, and I've got the bleeder kit there. But yeah, I'm going to flush all that out and make it look a lot better than that. A lot cleaner. Alright, cheers. Yep, it's a lot cleaner, a lot nicer in there. So I fill that up with fluid, brake fluid, put the bleed nipple on and pump the lever and get some fluid happening. Alright, moved on to the rear calipers, and look at the colour of that. That is gross. And some of that also came out of the reservoir, so yeah, I've got this Penrite stuff is clear, so I'll keep bleeding that through until it's nice and clear. I've got the piston back up into the caliper, and once that's all nice and clear, then I'll fit the brake pads and stick him back on the bike. Okay, we have the rear brake caliper on. I did run into a couple of problems, a couple of dramas. I ended up, first time in 25 years, breaking a bolt. It wasn't given the feedback feeling that I'm used to. I don't know if it was like binding up because it was topping out. But yeah, that was a bit of a drama to get that sorted out. It's not beautiful in there, but she pulls up tight now, and feels a lot better than probably having all the rust and gunk entering from the opposite side. While I was down here, I've noticed a tiny little crack in the rear subframe. So I think it was pre-existing, and once it was powder coating, she popped out like. So I've got that issue there, and another issue. I've got a lovely little crack that's appeared in my fuel tank. So what I've done here is marked it with a Nico to see if, well, a marker to see if she expands any further. What else? Oh, the chain. I did have a new chain, but it was only 120 links. So yeah, I purchased it as new old stock off of Marketplace, so I've had to get the old chain out and clean him up and give it a good lube and whatnot. But she comes up alright. Apart from that, yeah, just a few little dramas, just that bolt and whatnot. So I've just got to run the clutch cable. I'll just wait for the paint to dry on the lever. Still got a few bits and pieces to grab, like the grips and stop-start button, and when I'm 100% happy with the front master cylinder, yeah, I'll clean that up, paint it, make it look nice. Anyway, that's the old plastics, bearings and whatnot, and I'm going to be installing this. So I probably put the front and rear fenders on. They're not drilled, so I have to drill those out and fit just the four on the top and either one on the side, but the rest of the panels. So I've got the whole kit there. So yeah, that's where I'm up to. I'm pretty excited to get this bike back together. Yeah, everything's working out fine, apart from those few little dramas here and there, but should be all good. Alright. Oh, that was one other thing. Got a tiniest little hole that's seeping some exhaust, well, some fluid and whatnot out the front of the exhaust, so I'm glad that's showing up after it's been painted. Quite happy that there isn't anything else under there, and that's the only fault that I could find in the exhaust. But yeah, that's it. Alright, see you in a sec. Alright, front and rear fender are on. So she's starting to look like a motorbike now. Any moment now I'll put the side panels on, the radiator shrouds, and there we have it. All fenders are now on. So yeah, lined up nicely, no dramas, everything came up great. So looks totally different to the bike that I took on 3 months ago. So yeah, she's had a major cosmetic facelift, but at the same time pretty much overhauled everything I come across, like getting all the gunk out of the calipers, bleeding the brakes, getting fresh fluid in there, the wheel bearings, checking over those, cleaning up the brake surfaces, checking over the suspension linkage bearings, which I've got to do the lower rear. Yeah, new hoses, got the frame welded in that section there. I'm not going to ride it with the split in the tank. I've got to get that off and get that plastic welded and complete polishing the tank. But apart from that, yeah, she's back together. So kick them over. Once I've got the fork slider covers coming. Got to put the rear chain guide and the shock guard on there. But yeah, pretty much I've got confidence now in actually riding the thing, rather than not knowing if the brakes are going to hold out, or the suspension's going to give way, or everything's going to come loose, or she's going to die out in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, that's it. She's back together.